Hi, nice friends, and welcome back to another episode of DemojiWorld Myth and Magic. I'm Angel, your host and the creator of DemojiWorld. If you joined us for the first one, thank you for returning, and if you're new here, welcome. In this podcast, we dive deep into the magical world of Demoji, the cutest demon in town, and the incredible realms of Septaema. Today, we're diving into one of the most important stories in DemojiWorld, the creation of Septaema itself. I won't be reading the full creation story on here as that's already available for you to read on septaema.com, and I will be reading it in a future YouTube video, but I'll give a brief summary and take you behind the scenes to talk about the significance of the story. We'll explore the birth of Septaema, the transformation of the demon god Atheron, and how this epic tale ties into the deeper magical themes of DemojiWorld. So, whether you're into fantasy, witchy magic, or just love a good story, grab a drink and some snacks, get cozy, and let's dive into the creation of Septaema. So, in the creation story of Septaema, we witness the transformation of the demon god Atheron, who begins as a figure of pure darkness and destruction born from the void itself. For eons, Atheron ruled the abyss with an iron grip, unraveling lesser beings and weaving shadows into the very fabric of existence. His name became synonymous with terror, but deep within him, an unexpected light began to grow. This light, a flicker of kindness, compassion, and love, grew silently, even as Atheron maintained his dark facade. And on one fateful day, Atheron and his fellow demons encountered a scene that would change him forever. They found a creature of light, a mother who, in an act of selfless love, offered herself to protect her child from the advancing demons. Her sacrifice stirred something deep within Atheron, igniting the compassion he had kept hidden for millennia. Unable to reconcile his feelings, Atheron fled to the farthest reaches of the void, where he finally gave in to the emotions that had been building within him. His tears, filled with the essence of his newfound light, poured into the void, creating the vast Abyssal Ocean. This act of release marked his transformation, and in a final outburst of power, Atheron's very body was torn apart, his limbs scattered, forming the lands of Septaema. Next week in DemojiWorld Beyond the Realms, the Ko-fi members only podcast, we'll explore the other 12 realms that were created beyond Septaema, diving even deeper into the magical universe Atheron left behind. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out our Ko-fi page, which is linked in the description of this podcast. As we dive deeper into Atheron's story, we begin to see that he is more than just a dark entity bent on destruction. His role in the creation of Septaema goes far beyond mere power and terror. His journey represents the delicate balance between destruction and creation, darkness and light. For eons, Atheron embodied the very essence of darkness, a force of pure malevolence whose name struck fear into all who heard it. He reveled in the void, unraveling the essence of lesser beings, shrouding them in despair. But deep within this dark, terrifying figure, something unexpected was stirring. This idea of duality, the interplay between light and dark, creation and destruction, is central to Atheron's transformation and ultimately to the creation of Septaema itself. He is born from the void, from a place where there is only shadow, yet within him grows an opposing force, one that he neither understands nor knows how to handle. And this is where the journey becomes so much more compelling. Atheron's internal struggle reflects the eternal battle between light and dark that exists within all beings. In the story, the turning point for Atheron comes when he witnesses the mother's sacrifice, an act of pure love and selflessness. What's important to recognize here is that Atheron doesn't simply experience a change of heart. The transformation is much deeper, much more profound. It's not as though he abandons the darkness he's come to embody, but rather he begins to integrate that darkness with the growing light within him. This reflects a central theme in DemojiWorld and Septaema, the idea that light and dark are not mutually exclusive forces. Instead, they coexist, often intertwining to create something entirely new. So when Atheron encounters this act of self-sacrifice, he is faced with something he's never experienced before, a concept entirely foreign to his existence in the void. Up until that moment, his power was absolute, unquestioned, and unwavering. He could destroy entire realms with a whisper, unravel lives with a single thought. But love, compassion, and selflessness were forces beyond his comprehension. They were emotions that weakened, that offered mercy instead of power, and yet for the first time in his existence, these very emotions reached him. They stirred something deep within him, breaking through the layers of darkness he had built around his soul. What follows is one of the most pivotal moments in Atheron's journey. Unable to understand these feelings and unwilling to reveal them to his fellow demons, Atheron retreats. This act of retreat is crucial because it shows that transformation often begins with solitude, a moment of deep reflection. He flees to the farthest reaches of the void, where he finally gives in to the emotions that have been building inside him for millennia. As these emotions overwhelm him, he breaks down, his tears, a reflection of both his pain and his newfound compassion, pour into the void, creating the Abyssal Ocean. The Abyssal Ocean becomes a powerful symbol in Septaema. It represents both the flow of emotion and the transformation of Atheron's very being. It is vast, mysterious, and deep, much like the emotions that now consume him. It connects all the realms, just as his emotions connect his light and dark sides, showing us that in this world everything is interconnected. But Atheron's journey doesn't end with the creation of the Abyssal Ocean. His transformation reaches its climax when his very body is torn apart in a cataclysmic explosion of power. This moment symbolizes more than just the physical destruction of Atheron. It represents the death of his old self. In breaking apart, Atheron is able to give birth to something entirely new, the seven realms of Septaema. This realm is formed from his heart, and each of the other 12 realms we'll discuss in the Kofi podcast also carries with it a fragment of Atheron's essence. Atheron's sacrifice is one of the most important events in the history of DemojiWorld because it literally sets the stage for everything that follows. His transformation from a demon of darkness to a being of balance is what allows the world of Septaema to exist. His tears create the ocean, his limbs form the lands, and his heart becomes the center of the world. Even though Atheron is no longer physically present, his spirit and his legacy continue to shape the realms and the lives of those who inhabit them. It's also worth noting that Atheron's story mirrors the themes of transformation and growth that run throughout the entire DemojiWorld universe. Whether it's Demoji's own journey or the evolution of the realms themselves, the idea that we're all capable of change, that even the darkest of beings can find light, is central to the lore of DemojiWorld. Atheron's story is a reminder that transformation is possible for everyone, no matter how deeply they are rooted in darkness. Finally, Atheron's transformation is a powerful metaphor for the idea that light and dark are both necessary. Just as day cannot exist without night, Atheron's journey shows us that true strength comes from embracing both sides of ourselves. In the end, his transformation is not about rejecting his darkness, but about finding balance. And it's this balance that gives birth to the magical world of Septaema. And the balance between these forces is not just philosophical, it's woven into the very nature of Septaema. The majority of the realms exist in a state of perpetual twilight, that magical time between day and night where the world is bathed in this soft glow of neither the sun nor the stars. Twilight, by its very nature, represents the coexistence of two opposing forces, much like Atheron himself. The realm of Septaema never fully embraces the extremes of light or dark, but instead remains in that delicate space between, where both can exist without overpowering the other. This idea of twilight as the defining feature of Septaema isn't just a physical reality, It's deeply symbolic. It reflects the balance Atheron achieved within himself, the reconciliation of his dark and his light. The inhabitants of Septaema, whether they realize it or not, are shaped by this balance. Their magic, their cultures, and even their way of life are all tied to this delicate equilibrium between creation and destruction, between light and shadow. In Septimus, Demoji's home realm, this balance is particularly profound. Septimus, being one of the most important realms, holds the heart of Atheron's essence, and the twilight there is eternal, but this balance permeates all of Septaema. In realms like Phantasmagorium, where illusion and shadow reign, the twilight takes on a more mysterious, haunting quality. In contrast, the light in Lumina Enclave glows more brightly, but still never fully crosses into the extremes of daylight. These realms are all born of Atheron's heart, and in each one his legacy lives on. What makes Atheron's transformation so important is that it reminds us that balance is the true source of power. In DemojiWorld, the forces of light and dark aren't seen as enemies but as complementary aspects of existence. Atheron's story isn't just about rejecting darkness in favor of light, it's about learning to embrace both. His tears, which become the Abyssal Ocean, and his limbs, which form the lands, symbolize the merging of these forces. The Abyssal Ocean itself, a vast, mysterious sea created from Atheron's grief and compassion, connects all the realms, representing the emotional and magical currents that flow through every corner of Septaema and beyond. As we explore the individual realms of Septaema in future episodes, you'll begin to see how this balance influences every aspect of life. Magic in Septaema doesn't flow from light alone or from darkness alone. It's born from the space where the two meet. In Septimus, for instance, the magic is subtle yet powerful, drawing from the twilight that surrounds it and the Porta Dracorium, which you can read about in the Oblivitare War story. In other realms, like Umbervale, the shadow plays a more active role, but even there, it's the interplay of light and dark that gives the magic its strength. Atheron's legacy is also a reminder of the power of transformation. His journey from a being of destruction to a creator of worlds shows that even the darkest of forces can give birth to something beautiful. This theme of transformation is central to DemojiWorld and Septaema. It's woven into the stories of characters like Demoji, who, though born in the underworld, carries a light within him that allows him to transcend the limitations of his origins. It's also present in the history of Septaema itself, a realm that was born from destruction but exists as a place of balance and harmony. And as we continue to explore Septaema, remember that Atheron's story is the foundation for everything. Without his transformation, there would be no Demoji, no Seven Realms, and no magical world for us to explore. His sacrifice gave birth to a realm where light and dark can coexist, where the boundaries between day and night blur, and where every being has the potential for change and growth. One thing to note is that Septaema, as we know it today, wasn't always made up of seven realms. In the beginning, as told in the creation story, there were only three realms: Umbervale Embers, Phantasmagorium, and Septimus. These original realms were created from Atheron's body in the aftermath of his emotional outpouring and transformation. But around 2400 BC, something happened that would reshape the very fabric of Septaema. The Oblivitare War broke out, an invasion that tore through the realms and forever altered their landscape. In the aftermath of the war, the three original realms were reshaped, their boundaries redrawn, and new realms emerged from the ashes of destruction. What was once three became seven, each new realm carrying the remnants of the conflict, but also embodying the potential for renewal and growth. The Seven Realms and the Abyssal Isles were born from the wreckage, and Septaema became the world we know today, a realm of seven lands, each connected by the magic of Atheron's sacrifice. In the next episode, we'll be exploring one of these realms in more detail, Umbervale, the realm of shadows. We'll uncover how the balance between light and dark manifests here, the unique magic of the realm, and the secrets hidden within its shadowy depths. But for now, let's remember that Atheron's legacy is not just a story of creation, it's a story of balance, transformation, and the power of twilight. As we come to the end of this episode, it's important to take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered so far. The creation of Septaema, born from Atheron's transformation and ultimate sacrifice, is not just a myth. It's the foundation upon which the entire world of DemojiWorld is built. Every realm, every magical practice, and every character carries a piece of Atheron's legacy within them. The balance between light and dark, creation and destruction, is a theme that runs through the very core of this world, and what we see in Septaema today is a reflection of that delicate equilibrium. The twilight that permeates most of the realm isn't just a backdrop, it's a symbol of the balance that Atheron fought so hard to achieve. It's a reminder that even in a world filled with darkness, there is always light, and even in the brightest moments, shadows linger. We've also learned that Septaema, as we know it, wasn't always made up of 7 realms. In its earliest days, it was shaped by 3 powerful lands, Umbravale Embers, Phantasmagorium, and Septimus. But through the chaos of the Oblivitare War, Septaema was reshaped into 7 distinct realms we see today. This war not only altered the landscape, but also left a lasting impact on the magical and emotional fabric of the world. And in future episodes, we'll continue exploring the realms in greater detail. Each one has its own unique magic, its own history, and its own mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Next time, we'll be diving deep into Umbravale, the realm of shadows, where light and dark constantly battle for supremacy, and the very essence of magic itself is intertwined with the shadows. For now, I want to thank you all for joining me on this journey through the creation of Septaema. I hope this episode has given you a deeper understanding of the world we're building here and how each piece of lore connects to the greater story of DemojiWorld. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's episode, feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear what you think and what you're most excited to learn about next. And don't forget, if you're a member of our Ko-fi community, we've got even more exclusive content in Beyond the Realms podcast, where we'll be exploring the other 12 realms that exist beyond Septaema. If you're not already a member, you can find the link in the description and sign up and unlock more secrets of DemojiWorld. But until next time, may the magic of DemojiWorld guide your path. Bye, guys.